Full and uncut versions available on Patreon. Check in the description below.
Greetings once again, Pokemaniacs. Duuz-Diz-Din back again with more of the Pokemon Adventures manga, the Emerald arc, where previously Emerald's mindset has been shaken time and time again. When he met Ruby and Sapphire, who had come on the mission to obtain Jirachi for the wish to hopefully free the petrified Pokédex holders, though they are unaware of said mission. Their talk of friendship and bonds with Pokemon causes him to second guess a lot of things. Stuck in his ways, he loses to Tucker, next taking on Spencer, where it's a matter of trust in order to win the symbol he needs to progress. But when Guile Hideout does manage to capture Jirachi, Emerald has no choice but to leave his Pokemon and have faith that they'll accomplish the task. So he races off with Ruby, Sapphire, and then Nolan to the battle tower that has been taken over by Guile Hideout, who is using mind control in order to command Annabelle. But when she passes out from the strain, Guile takes her hostage, even after she managed to overwhelm Emerald. Although the timely appearance of Latios with Emerald's Pokemon, as well as the symbol he needed, backs Guile into a corner. But still feeling as he has the advantage, he decides to finally reveal the man behind the mask, none other than Archie, leader of Team Aqua. Or at least former leader. Hard to say if Team Aqua even exists now. But what is Archie truly after all this time? And how many more dastardly lengths is he willing to go to in order to achieve it? Join me as I find out, won't you? Alright, Pokemon Adventures Emerald Volume 29. And we got Emerald on the front with his Pokédex, and Gold, who I assume is finally going to make an appearance here. Which, it's about time. We got pretty much everybody else. You should join in the party late than never. Also, I guess, is Emerald keeping those other Pokemon he got from Nolan? Also, Jirachi's third eye has awoken. Now, I said before, it didn't look too creepy. Yeah, it looks a little creepy here now. God, everybody tried to... But still, where is Mewtwo? What happened to Mewtwo? Alright. Emerald has Skibiggle. Few more sigils to go. But this is it. Chapter 328, the final battle, part 1. Emerald, Ruby, and Sapphire are all aghast to see the return of Archie. He says, "If that is your wish, I will reveal myself to you." This is who I am. Ruby shouts, "Archie!" While Sapphire says, "The leader of Team Aqua who disappeared at Sootopolis City? Thank you for the recap." Archie says, "I guess you could call me stubborn, because I stubbornly cling to my love of the sea." You got that right. After becoming one with Kyogre, I discovered the true limitless potential of the sea. And now I'm going to become the sea itself and rule the world. Huh? Ruby says, "He's crazy." While Sapphire questions, "Oh, so you gotta try and wake up Kyogre again?" Archie says, "Wake up? I don't need to do that now that I have Jirachi. I can just create a simulacrum of Kyogre." Kyogre duplicate. So we see a very worried Jirachi behind it. But Archie then notices something approaching. Oh, it's Tentacruel. Oh, it's Mawile. But Archie brings out Tentacruel to protect him. As he says, "You've arrived. I've been waiting for you, Nolan." Nolan questions, "What do you mean?" Archie puts his sword to Annabelle's neck as she's restrained by Tentacruel, saying, "Let's make a deal. I'll trade your precious leader Annabelle for the Jirachi file." Nolan is shocked as Archie questions, "You've deciphered the final pages, haven't you? Frontier brain of knowledge." Well? Nolan questions, "What should I do?" Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, we've come this far, but I can't abandon my friend. A friend who has stuck by my side through thick and thin, but as Nolan begins to bring out the file, Archie sneers, and Tentacruel, I guess in one fell swoop, hits Nolan, knocks him down, and takes the file all in the same time. Archie says, now. As he reads through it, he says, "I see. In order to convey your wish to Jirachi, you must open its third eye, which is located on its stomach." Oh, it's holding it down. That's why it's like nervously has its hands over its eye. But Archie looks to Surskit saying, "It's stomach, eh? I seem to remember that kid talking about the place where Jirachi get power gathered." Surskit? Oh, is Surskit the one using mind control? That's weird. But it does explain why he's always has that Surskit by his side. Now, Jirachi, open your third eye. And under the control of Surskit, Jirachi begins to do just that. As Archie says, "Accept my wish through your third eye. Your true eye." Oh God. As Archie gazes into the third eye, and nobody around stopping him. Oh, Jirachi has 3 wishes, like a genie. I actually don't remember that from the movie. And Sapphire says, "Words are starting to appear on Jirachi's wish tag. Has Jirachi accepted Archie's wish? And if so, what did he wish for?" Oh God. The water outside starts to rage and grow and surge. Emerald says, "What the? Whoa." Oh, a simulacrum of Kyogre, that's right. An image of Kyogre appears over the battle frontier, but it's even bigger than Kyogre ever was. It looms over the entire battle frontier. Even the frontier brains can see it. Ruby says, "Kyogre, no, a sea in the shape of Kyogre." Archie says, "That's right. I wish for a sea demon to engulf everything." He would. And Jirachi made that wish come true. It would have been 1,000,000 times better to face the real Kyogre. Nolan falls to his knees and said, "I did it to save a friend, but because of that, our dreams, everything we built together will disappear into the bottom of the sea. This is the worst thing that could have happened." And Guile mocks him. "However, for me, this is a wonderful outcome." Sapphire tells him, "You can't give up now, Nolan. We've gotten Annabelle back. It's time for us to make a comeback." The Guile says, what the heck? Something goes past him. And he says, "Oops. I was warned not to show my face for too long." The heck? Is he on some kind of time limit? Ruby sees this, saying, "Huh?" And thinks, why did he close his helmet? What's the point of hiding his identity under the armor now that we know who he is? Guile says, "You can all drown at the bottom of the sea for all I care." And the Kyogre image flashes into the battle tower. The entire building is pretty much washed out. Emerald calls out, "Latios, take Annabelle and Nolan downstairs." Meanwhile, with the Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, they shout, "Here comes another wave. We better make a run for it too." But, what the heck? What? What looks to be Guile, I don't think this is him, comes in through the window. Is this Emerald? Wait, yeah, okay, hold on. The eye of the armor is on the wrong side. No, Emerald, is it gold? He starts shaking all around, getting the water out, much to the question of Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. And he says, "Yeah, okay, you guys all right? Follow me." Oh, shoot, that attack activated the disaster response system. "We gotta hurry." And he grabs Sapphire. Okay, it's definitely gold. And he tries to take off, but she boots him, saying, "What you doing there?" Oh, Ruby says, "He's right, Sapphire. All the emergency shutters are starting to close. We have to get out of here before we get trapped." Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald then take off as the door begins to shut. But as they squeeze through, Emerald is caught. Sapphire says, "He got stuck. It's because of that crazy outfit of his." And as Emerald starts to get crushed, she says, "Help!" But Sapphire says, "Can't get a grip," as she has Ruby try to get him out, pull him free. But an unknown object comes flying into the closing door. How would you design it like this? And manages to keep it pried open. Ruby says, "It stopped." Oh no, Sapphire says it stopped. And then Ruby brings out his scissors to cut Emerald's clothes a little so they can get him free. Ruby says, "Okay, hold steady, Emerald, almost done." Sapphire says a stick came flying over and blocked the shutter from closing. Ruby questions who threw it. And then they look back to the dude in the suit of armor. Ruby says, "Guile?" Sapphire says, "Guile helped us? No way." And Guile then comes over and grabs his stick out of the door and says, "Phew, that was close." Only for, Guile Hideout to come in saying, "Who are you? My doppelganger, huh? Okay, what are these suits of armor? Who's making these things?" Emerald questions, "Two Guiles." Sapphire questions, "What's going on?" As the other Guile brings out a cue stick. So close. My plan was to disguise myself as you to trick your Surskit and Tentacruel so I could nab Jirachi, and you ruined it. Why do you have to come back just when things were going my way? That really ticks me off. Emerald thinks, this guy sure talks tough. Yeah, right? Guile says, imposter, reveal your identity. And as he slices with his sword, the other Guile's armament is cut down the middle. Although he's undeterred, saying, imposter? Identity? Look who's talking. You pretended to be Scott and used Annabelle. All's fair in love and war. Don't get so bent out of shape. And as the armor falls away, Gold immediately puts his hat and goggles on. God, what the heck is this guy? Can't take anything seriously. Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald are all shocked as Golden just brings out some lava cookies and just starts eating them, saying, this is my first time in Helen. These lava cookies I bought on the way here are pretty tasty. Hey, Chris, change of plans. Come out wherever you are. And Crystal comes stomping out, angry, saying, here I am, Gold. You really need to stop changing our plans all the time. That's why I never approved of this one from the start. It costs a lot of money to make this suit of armor, and now it's chopped in half. She shoves his bag to him, Gold saying, oh, chill out. Quit yapping at me. You sound like a teacher or something. Gold questions, Crystal? Emerald questions, Crystal? And Crystal says, hello, Emerald. Nice work so far. He then points to Ruby and Sapphire, saying, I've heard all about you and the fancy boy. And the wild girl. Oh no, that's Gold saying that. I've heard all about you and the fancy boy and the wild gal, not to mention peculiar boy there. I like your funny croissant hairdo. Even Expo can't match it. He says, petting Emerald on the head. Chris says, hey, stop teasing, Gold. Ruby says, I saw their faces in the reference room, so they're Pokédex holders as well. Our elders, so to speak. It's weird to say that about someone who's just a few years older than you. Sapphire says, they're the senior Pokédex holders, and they've come to help us. Sapphire grabs and shakes Chris's hand, saying, awesome, there are 7 Pokédex holders before us, right? Does that mean the other 5 are coming to join us too? Gold says, unfortunately, Wild Gal, those 5 won't be helping anyone anytime soon, not even themselves. But all the Pokédex holders are here already. Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald are stunned silent by this. Sapphire questions, huh? What do you mean? Gold says, they won't be helping us. Actually, we'll be helping them. It's hard to gotta explain, right? Guile then says, quit your chattering. I don't care if you are Pokédex holders or anyone else. No one stops Guile Hideout. You keep proclaiming that name as though we don't know your identity now. But Gold then sends out 2 Pokeballs saying, Expo, Abo, bringing out his Typhlosion and Apom. Apom is wielding Gold's Q-stick. Oh, jeez. And twirls it above Typhlosion's fire, managing to launch the flame at Guile? Dang. Guile uses his sword in order to hold back the flames, but he's overwhelmed and knocked back. As he is lying on his back, he says, powerful. Gold says, pretty impressive, huh? Beat it, bird brain. As Apom hands back over the Q-stick, Gold then gazes over at the petrified Pokédex holders. Yeah. Gold seeing a lot of his closer friends being all petrified. Gold thinks Jirachi has 3 wish tags, which means there are 2 left. Hold on, I'll set you free in a minute, buddy. He says as he puts a bracelet on Silver's hand? What the heck? Oh, it's a skateboard. Yeah, Gold pulls a skateboard out of his backpack, saying, and now it's party time. As we see that he has 3 more rings on his Q-stick. 3? Does he have to put one on everyone else? Does it not work for yellow? Or, I'm not sure. Regardless. Oh, I see one Pokemon I love. Swampert in the lineup there. The guy looks nervous. Alright, chapter 329, the final battle part 2. As the giant water Kyogre looms over the battle frontier, Guile says, party time, questioning it. Emerald says, that's right, don't make me repeat myself. If you can't hear me, you might want to clean your ears, blockhead. Jeez, coming in with the insult. Guile Emerald says, or is your helmet getting in the way? Golden calls out, Fancy boy, wild gal, and peculiar boy, allow me to introduce myself. I'm Gold from New Barktown. This prissy girl here is Crystal, and we're here to save the senior Pokedex holders and my buddy Silver from their petrified state. That's all. The end. And he goes leaping in. Oh, God. Oh, Apalm. He goes bounding off of Apalm's hand, who pushes him forward towards Guile. That's kind of cool. What the heck? For some reason, when Gold's Q-stick clashes with Guile's sword, almost like there's some kind of resonance. Is it because of the rings? But Guile manages to knock Gold back. But Ruby, having heard what he said questions, petrified state? You mean these 5 statues of the Pokedex holders are, Sapphire says, actual real people? That's impossible. Gold says, hard to believe, I know, but true. But Guile gets ready to strike. As Gold says, hey, I need you to put your Pokemon in their Pokeballs. Gold then kicks Apalm, who has Pokeballs and is riding on Gold's skateboard, which wasn't that turned into a scooter? Did he get another skateboard, or did he just turn it back? Regardless, Gold's skateboard hits Guile in the chest, or it was several of their Pokemon, and they were brought over by Apalm so they could all be released and restrain Guile. Got some of my favorites in here, such as Dusclops and Donphan. As the Pokemon all restrain Guile, Crystal tells the others, Professor Oak got in contact with Professor Birch and Mr. Scott and sent us here. Our plan had 3 stages. First, Emerald would investigate the possibility of capturing Jirachi by challenging the frontier facilities. Wait, why would that play a factor into it? If the enemy appeared and the battle got too fierce, we would send in more Pokedex holders as backup. That was on the 5th day. Ruby and Sapphire arrived here this morning, and Gold and I arrived here tonight. But we were the only 2 who were informed that the petrified Pokedex holders were here. Gold says, that's because we're more experienced. Yeah, I call BS. I feel it's more that you're more used to a lot of these wild situations. Crystal then says, but we got here a little too late, unfortunately. As she looks at the massive water Kyogre, Guile says, admit it, more than a little. You were far too late, as evidenced by the fact that, Surge gets up to something. Oh, he uses a Psychic Blast to knock all the Pokemon off. As Guile says, my wish has already come true. A sea demon that only I can control is about to engulf the world. As he uses the Kyogre construct to flood the building again. As the Pokedex holders are washed back, Guile, on top of the water construct says, Pokedex holders. That's a new concept to me. Trainers who have been given Pokedexes to conduct research have the title of Pokedex holders, eh? Come to think of it, you 2 were quite a nuisance at Sutopolis City. You're Pokedex holders. And here you are, interfering with my plans again. This is perfect. I will destroy you all at once. And the water construct hits the building again, washing away the Pokedex holders, knocking them into the wall. As they try to recover, Guile just laughs. Surskit then looks to Guile and Surskit look to Jirachi, and Guile grabs Jirachi by his little fluttery dealie on the back. Guile saying, now that my wish is granted, I won't be needing this anymore. It doesn't look well suited for battle, and it'll be completely useless once it falls asleep again in 2 days' time. You can keep it. I mean, I guess he doesn't even care that it still has another wish. Emerald, as Guile chucks Jirachi to the ground, Emerald goes for it, just as Guile commands the water construct to hit the building again. In comes Latios saying, look at him, Luster Purge, blocking the surge of water. Gold grabs Emerald saying, now's our chance. As they make their way out of harm's way, Emerald peeks around the corner saying, thanks, Latios. You evacuated Annabelle and Norman and came back in the nick of time. Latios says, yes, but the battle continues below him. The 7 frontier brains are working together with the rental Pokemon to stem the flood. We can see K of my favorite Pokemon. You can see Seviper and Salamence. Sapphire says, a flood? Well, Ruby says, I knew it. The island is sinking thanks to that sea thing Guile wished into existence. And as Guile rides upon the massive water Kyogre, he says, and what a sight it is to behold. I finally acquired the power I need to rule the world. It's mine to do with as I will. Oh, wait, Manaphy? The incredible power of the sea. Once I've conquered everything, perhaps I'll search for the legendary Pokemon that's said to live somewhere in the depths of the ocean. Oh man, he just has designs on every Pokemon around. I wonder if it actually appears in the storyline. Sapphire says he thinks he's won. Crystal says, we can't just stand around and let him go. We have to do something. Ruby asks Gold, hey, you said you came here to save the others from their petrification, but how? How will you unpetrify them? Crystal holds Jirachi, saying, how else? We'll ask Jirachi to do it. Ruby questions, what? But the wish has already been made. Gold questions, he doesn't know, does he? Jirachi has 3 wish tags, so it can grant 3 wishes once it's awakened. Sapphire is overjoyed, saying, oh, that's great. We can use one to undo the petrification. Or Ruby says, and the last one to get rid of that monster. They high-five, saying, perfect. Gold questions, you think? Seems like it, doesn't it? Though Crystal says, but we can't do that because we promised. Sapphire questions, promise? What? To who? Crystal explains, saying, Professor Oak promised Mr. Scott. Oh. In a flashback, Oak says to Scott, I will choose a Pokedex holder and send him to the battle frontier to capture Jirachi. Any objections? Scott says, no, that's fine. However, only under one condition. Can Jirachi only grant 1 wish? If he can grant more than 1, just 1 will do. I would like you to leave 1 wish for me. Based. Oak says, what? Well, Scott says, after all, I am providing my precious battle frontier as your battleground. Don't you think that's worth some form of compensation? Okay, that makes a lot more sense. And it makes a lot more sense that Scott didn't stop any of this from happening. If it meant he could get 1 wish, then it's just like, cha-ching. Everything makes so much more sense if you look at it from that perspective. Ruby says, so Professor Oak agreed. While Gold tells him, yeah, and that's why he strictly forbid us from using the last wish tag no matter what. While Crystal says, but we're fine with that as long as we can bring silver, red, blue, green, and yellow back to life. Gold says, right. He calls out to the others saying, now, we'd better divvy up our tasks. I want you to call out all the Pokemon you've got who can fly. Gold brings out his Manaphy? Or, no, Mantine. There we go, Mantine. I'm blanking on the name. And still with all those Remoraid attached, Crystal brings out her Xatu. Oh, it finally evolved. Did we see when her Pokemon evolved? I don't remember when her Pokemon evolved. Yeah, it evolved off screen. Okay. I thought, okay. Oh, maybe it doesn't have to struggle so much to get her up in the air anymore. Well, naturally, Sapphire brings out her Trophius, saying, done. Gold tells the others, have them fly around to draw Guile's attention. Xatu, you be the leader. Or, wait, you saying that? Oh, okay, it's Crystal saying, I'm counting on you, Nati. Gold then tosses the rings over to Crystal, saying, next, here, Chris, take Fancy Boy and Wild Gal and explain the ring to them. Oh, it's a special move ring. Interesting. Okay, Crystal has the rings. She tells Ruby and Sapphire, okay, come with me. Well, Gold taps Emerald on the shoulder with his Q-stick, saying, that leaves you. Ask Jirachi to grant you the wish. That's your job. Emerald questions, me? Gold says, that's right. Emerald says, why me? It doesn't matter who makes the wish. Gold says, why do you think we sent you here on July 1st so that you'd be just in time for Jirachi's awakening? There's a reason we had you come out here before us. We met Jirachi today for the first time, but you've been fighting the last several days to protect it. Now, who do you think has a better chance of connecting with Jirachi? To rely it all on a connection, especially when it comes to Emerald. Gold says, if you don't like it, complain to Oak. It was his decision. Emerald questions, what are you gonna do? Gold says, I'm your guardian. Come on, do it. Just do it. So Emerald takes a gulp, turns to Jirachi and says, I wish for you to rescue the petrified Pokédex holders, Jirachi. Emerald, its eye isn't open. You gotta look it in the eye. You gotta look it in the eye. And now, chapter 330. The final battle, part 3. Well, Emerald, after making his wish, takes a moment, looks over to the frozen Pokédex holders and says, huh? Nothing. Nothing happened. I know. The third eye. Jirachi, open your third eye. Open it so I can gaze into it. Jirachi? And Jirachi takes off. Emerald says, huh? But why? You granted that bad guy's wish. Why not mine? Jirachi! Oh boy. Oh, the heck? As Crystal takes Ruby and Sapphire, they make their way to the window. Crystal says, okay, jump. Sapphire goes, huh? And they leap out, but then land on something. What? Something of it? Oh, her Mr. Mime. Ruby and Sapphire are shocked as Sapphire says, how are we standing in midair? As Crystal brings out her Mr. Mime saying, you're not technically. My new Mr. Mime Pokemon, Mime Me, can solidify air through pantomime. So I had it build a stairway leading up to the top floor of the battle tower. Sapphire stomps on the invisible floor, saying, you mean we're standing on top of a huge block of air? Crystal says, that's right. I saw a gym leader called Sabrina do this once. Oh, nice. She saw a technique so good she had to try it herself. So I knew it would work. And there isn't just a staircase. We've created a room too. Come on in. Ruby questions, a room? What do you need a room for? Crystal tosses something over to them, saying, catch. Ah, the move tutor bracelet, which snap onto Ruby and Sapphire. Crystal says, I need you to master these moves ASAP, and this is the perfect place to do it. You know, the special water-type move Hydro Cannon and the special fire-type move Blast Burn. The moves are sealed inside these bracelets. There are 3 bracelets in all, and this one is for Emerald. It has a special grass-type move Frenzy Plant. There's an old trainer named Ultima who lives on 2 Island, one of the Kanto region's Sevi Island. She will only teach these moves to those who have earned her respect. Goals Expo and my Magari, her Meganium, to have already learned the moves. Ultima made a special exception in your case, Emerald. She let us bring the bracelets here to you. Although, you cut back to the training where Ultima's just beating Gold, saying, as Gold says, why do I always get an old bat for a teacher? Oh yeah, the daycare lady. Crystal says, I dropped by her place before coming here. Ruby questions, wait a minute. Are you saying you want my Moo Sapphire Chick, and Emerald Sceptile to master these moves too? Crystal says, exactly. Right here, right now. Sapphire says, you gotta be kidding. Crystal gestures to the massive Kyogre imitation, saying, if not, how are we ever going to defeat that? Ruby says, we're up against Kyogre, a water-type Pokemon. So we could go with an electric type or a grass type to combat it, and Crystal says that would only work if our opponent was a real Pokemon. This thing is no Pokemon. It's just a huge mass of energy. Oh, you know, it's funny. You had the fake Groudon in, what was it, the Celebi movie? And you have a fake Kyogre here. It's actually interesting, because usually it's the movies that'll have a imitation of a Pokemon, because you had the fake Entei in the Unknown movie. That's interesting. The only chance we've got is to hit it with an incredibly powerful attack. I'm confident we can defeat it if we can pull off an attack like that. Remember how Latios struck that wave with Luster Perch just a moment ago? Ruby says Latios wasn't strong enough to blast away the wave, but it was able to shoot through it. Sapphire says, right. And look there, Ruby. The attack made a great big hole, and it hasn't filled back in. Oh, yeah, there's a chunk of Kyogre's finger missing. Crystal says, understand now? So, think you can learn these moves? Ruby and Sapphire nod. And so Crystal takes off, saying, I'll go and help out with the diversion plan then. Remember, we don't have much time. You have to hurry. She calls in her Zatu Nati. Crystal takes off, making her way across the massive Kyogre construct. Meanwhile, with Emerald, he questions, how? How can I get Jirachi to accept me? Open its third eye. I have to try and do this. I have to try and think of a solution. Gold's watching, and then says, Emerald, I like your attitude. You're no quitter. But how can I put it? I don't think you're prepared for this. Listen to yourself. You just said, I have to try to do this. I have to try and think of a solution. If it were me, I would have said, I have to try, but I will do this. Not, I have to try to think of a solution, but I will think of a solution. Get it? Say it with more confidence, he's saying. Emerald pauses. Gold says, see? Your words reflect your confidence. You have to think positive. Remember, we're not the only ones who wanted to turn those statues back into trainers. Look down there. And he points down to the ocean. Aww. Aww. Right. They were sent away. Oh god, the floating and surfing Pikachus. You know, oh man, if it weren't for the fact that you actually kind of see that in the games, the floating and surfing Pikachus, I would have kind of dismissed it. But the specialized Pikachus have just kind of become a thing for him now. It's so weird. Is there another type of Pikachu? Now that I think about it. Yeah, there are other types of Pikachus, but not to the extent of the surfing and flying Pikachu. And the surfing Pikachu just kind of became that alone Raichu. Okay. Just had to look through the specialized Pikachus, but the games kind of introduced it originally, but have actually made them like a key part of their abilities. Wild. Gold says, those Pokemon are all headed here with one big wish, and there's Pika and Chichu, our senior Pokedex holders' Pokemon. They weren't inside their balls when it happened, so they didn't get turned to stone. They have faith that their trainers will return to them. And as Gold brings out his Mantine and the friggin' Horde of Remoraid, he takes off saying, we're all counting on you, Emerald. Go ahead, jump through that window. The other two are busy learning their special moves already. Why don't you join them and take care of that first? And is that really okay? Gold goes out and meets Crystal and the other flying Pokemon, as well as Latios, to try to do what they can against Kyogre, well, the Kyogre construct. Emerald sees what they're doing, then looks down to Ruby and Sapphire jumping down upon the invisible room. Sapphire goes over and shows the stairs, saying, over here, Emerald. She says, stairs. It's like a huge arena. Amazing. She puts a bracelet on Emerald's extendo hand, saying, here's your bracelet. Where's your real arm? Gold says, grass attacks water, water attacks fire, fire attacks grass. In other words, each Pokemon will receive the attack that is most disadvantageous to it. It's the most efficient way to train. Crystal said the special moves sealed inside these bracelets will appear once our training has reached the right level. So let's get started. And Swampert, Sceptile, and Blaziken all unleash their attack upon each other. Although Sapphire then notices that Emerald doesn't really have his head in the game. You gotta get your head in the game. You gotta get your head in the game. Sapphire says, hey Emerald, quit your daydreaming. You gotta stay focused on Sceptile. We don't have all day, you know? Emerald says, yeah, I know. He looks away then, dejectedly saying, I'm just a little distracted. It was my job to ask Jirachi to grant our wish, and I failed. I still can't believe it. I can't get over it. Ruby says, I see. Sapphire says, well, we'd like to cheer you up, but we don't know what would help, cause we don't know you at all. Why don't you tell us about yourself? Ruby says, tell us where you're from. Sapphire says, what you think about, what you care about, who you are. Ruby says, basically fill us in on your life up to this point. Time for a flight. Oh, geez, he's even shorter than I thought he was. It's kind of wild. See, like actually right there laid out. But Emerald, he takes off his platforms. Well, he already lost the bottom platforms, but the upper platforms with the Pokeballs. And then he takes off his extendo hands, and much to Ruby and Sapphire's shock, as a melancholic Emerald says, surprised to see how small I am? This is the real me. I've always been alone. Alright, chapter 331, the final Battle, part 4. Emerald says, I've always been alone. My parents died when I was little. Oh, a protagonist who actually doesn't have any parents. Since then, I've been shuffled around between my relatives. You've made fun of me wherever I went because I was, well, small. Now we see kids bullying him. My arms and legs were so short everybody made fun of me. But Pokemon were different. The Pokemon at the places I lived always treated me just like everyone else. Even though I was so small and young and an orphan, I'd ask the Pokemon for help when I needed something. Yeah, we see various Pokemon always helping him out. But then people said, you use Pokemon as your arms and legs. Oh, we see him get into a fight because of that. We see a Cradilly trying to help him after he gets beat up, but he pushes it away. He says, it hurt to hear that. I always considered Pokemon my companions, my friends. Never meant to use them. So I decided, I'll stop asking Pokemon for help. I won't even get close to Pokemon anymore. I ran away from there with that intention, but then I didn't know what to do with myself. I lost my way. Oh, Professor Yanase. Oh, she was the lady from the flashback in Ruby and Sapphire. She created the green orb, right. A researcher comes up saying, wait, Professor Yanase, that's a waste. Yanase says, no. The green orb was created to control Rayquaza, but it doesn't work. It's useless to us. Understand the president of the Pokemon Association's view on the matter, but Rayquaza escaped. Maybe it isn't a problem we can solve with the power of science after all. Yeah, she was there when the Salamence broke in. But I don't remember us seeing the green. Did we see them working on the green orb? But you didn't use an orb to control Rayquaza. Maybe this isn't a problem that we can solve with the power of science after all. If it's inevitable that Kyogre and Groudon clash, we'll just have to hope that someone with a more suitable method will put a stop to them. Now, that was the best core for the orb we've created so far. Oh, that's the other researcher saying that. How could you just throw it away? Professor! Oh, she just threw it into the river? Oh, is that what he's wearing on his head? But I don't think does he even get to control Rayquaza? Emerald sees the green orb shining in the water, saying it was beautiful. I thought, if I had something as nice as that, I would never be unhappy again. I know I'll imagine what I wish I was like. I'll imagine myself as someone who doesn't need anyone, not even Pokemon. I feverishly began sketching my new image of myself in the dirt. Really? I mean, that is how a kid would think of him being cooler. I'll wear tall shoes so my legs will be longer, but they won't be ordinary shoes. They'll spread open like ninja shoes so I can walk on water. And I'll have mechanical hands at the ends of long artificial arms that stretch out so I can reach anything. I'll make my hair stand up so I'll look taller. I'll add long eyebrows too for style. And lastly, I'll wear this sparkly jewel on my forehead. There. Oh my god. I wish I could really be like this someday. And a figure says, whoa, well, that's quite an ambitious concept. It's Mr. Trick. Oh god, of course he made her Emerald all that stuff. Freaking Trick Master. He says, I'm impressed. Emerald's narration says, the man looking at my drawing was kind of weird, but he turned out to be a lot of fun. Trick Master takes a photo saying, your designs are wonderful. Mind if I take a picture of this? Emerald says, go ahead. And then he starts measuring the kid, saying, yeehaw, my inventor's soul is burning with enthusiasm. I've got to make this into a reality. Let me measure your feet. Emerald says, what? And he thinks he's a cobbler? Oh god, so that's why he keeps saying that friggin' cobbler. He was talking about Trickmaster. He's not just a cobbler, dude. And Trickmaster takes away Emerald, saying, I don't normally trust people, but for some reason it was easy to open up to him. We became friends real quickly. Trickmaster then says, oh, look at that cute Pokemon. Emerald says, yeah, that Breloom must have come from Petalburg Woods. And that Volbeat is from Route 117. It travels such a long way. I wonder if it's migrating. Trickmaster questions this. He says, you can figure out where Pokemon are from just by looking at them? Emerald says, roughly. I've traveled all around home, going back and forth between relatives. Maybe that's how come I have a knack for it. And that's a little bit more than a knack. Emerald says, I told him about what I'd gone through and he was sympathetic. Trickmaster says, I see. He thinks to himself, it would be a pity for a boy with such wonderful skills to be unable to use his talents because people bully him. He tells Emerald, leave it to me. I'll find a solution. It's rather far from here, but there's a place in the Johto region that takes care of children in your predicament. I'll bring you the Earl Derevish's... Oh my god, That's how he met Crystal. Emerald arrives at Earl Dervish's Pokemon Academy, saying, so this is the place, Earl's Pokemon Academy, but it's just a shack. He goes in saying the wall is barely standing. And we see Crystal helping out, saying, see, the Pokemon heals itself if you give it a berry to hold. Child says, oh, it does. Mr. Dervish says, thank you for all your help. Crystal questions Mr. Dervish as Earl says, it's so nice of you to volunteer to take care of the children. You're a great help to me. Crystal says, oh no, I'm volunteering. I just like to play with them, and I like it here. There's no better place to play with Pokemon and learn about them. Emerald says, I liked her right away. Oh God. And kids call out, Crystal, let's play. And Crystal says, coming. He says to one girl, need the bathroom? Over here. Nut says to a boy, hungry? The snacks are over here. And to a little girl, we have disinfectant for your scratches. We have to disinfect your scratch first. And the girl says it stings. He then tells the kids, clean up time, everyone. Such a caretaker. Emerald thinks, wow, she works so hard. Oh, and here's where the Slugma come in. The horde of Slugma come in, bursting through the walls. As Emerald explains, the unexpected attack created a panic. I was paralyzed, but she remained calm. And we see her just going in with her kick in action. Emerald explains, and captured all the Pokemon with her amazing kicks. Her name is Crystal. I decided to stay there because I wanted to get to know her better. Earl Dervish says, welcome, as he also checks his wallet. More kids to feed. He explains, but the next day, Crystal was gone. He thinks to himself, so what's the point of me moving into this rundown place now? Oh well, at least I won't be treated badly here, like everywhere else I stayed so far. He explains, I wasn't treated badly, but I didn't fit in that easily either. I hardly dared to take a step. The floorboards broke all the time. But then, a few days later, something strange happened. Construction workers arrived with a whole lot of Pokemon, and they worked together to support and strengthen the walls. Even Earl, the owner of the academy, didn't know where the money for the remodeling was coming from. The work continued every few days. We got new floorboards, the walls were plastered, new glass was installed in the windows. The athletic field was flattened and new green turf put in. We got new clothes and all the food we could eat. It was like magic. After everything at the academy had been fixed, we were called to an assembly. Service says, I have something important to talk to you about today. The Pokemon Academy has been completely remodeled. Someone worked very hard to pay for all that work. And that someone is someone whom you all know and love. So, well, Crystal asked Professor Oak if he knew who our anonymous donor was, and he told me Crystal is helping him gather Pokemon data for his research. She has climbed mountains, crossed oceans, and braved all sorts of danger along the way. And she did it all for this academy. The kids say my clothes, the meals I ate today, our desks, chairs, books, and swings. Crystal is doing all that work to buy us these things. And the kids start to cry in tears. Emerald's narration says, everyone was in tears, but I was just amazed. I never met anyone so generous before, who puts others before herself. Emerald says, Crystal. Emerald's narration goes, that was when my curiosity about her changed to admiration. I wanted to learn from her. I wanted to study everything she has to teach me. When Crystal returned after helping out with a crisis at Helix Forest, I wanted to be with her every minute. But Crystal was really busy working as Professor Oak's assistant. I thought she wouldn't have time for me. Unless thinks, I got it. I'll work for Professor Oak too. Trainers get Pokedexes from him to gather data. I'll get him to give me a Pokedex. I decided to meet Professor Oak in person. I waited for him at the radio tower. Oh, I thought it was a little girl. Oh my God. And we see the radio producer, signaling to Professor Oak when he's in with DJ Mary with a sign that says, Prof, the kid wants to see you. He wants a Pokedex to become a trainer and spend lots of time with Pokemon. And as Professor Oak comes over, he sees Emerald and calls out, come here. If you wish to ask something of someone, you must first introduce yourself. Now then, tell me your name. Oh my God, that's why. Oh, that's actually really beautiful. You know what? I still feel bad that Wally wasn't included, but to bring everything full circle like that is actually incredibly beautiful. I love it. I love it. I love it. Oof, got a little choked up on that one. Just because it's such, I love stuff like that. Like, I never thought this little moment would play such a big part in everything. Dang. I actually like how much of a inspiration Crystal was. Because, there's always one character who kind of ends up getting kind of underplayed when it comes to this in each arc. But it didn't feel like Crystal, outside of the story with Suicune, was going to have more to her goings on. But she had a good enough thing going, so I didn't really question it. But the stuff with Emerald and how he was an inspiration to her, that recontextualized so much of what she did. Help the orphanage and all that. That's kind of like, okay, that's all cool and everything. But to really see an impact on someone, and it's something I always say is that, what may seem like a very simple act to you could mean the world to a child. And you never know how that could shift and change their entire life going forward, for better or for worse. That's so interesting. Right. The last chapter of this recording is the final battle, part 5. Oh, okay. In present day, Sapphire says, you met Professor Oak in person and asked him for a Pokedex? Ruby questions, so you got your Pokedex before we did? Emerald says, I asked, but he didn't let me have one then. What? In the flashback, Oak says, now then, tell me your name. DJ Mary says, his name? I think Professor Oak already knows who that boy is. And Oak says, or allow me to do it for you. You are Emerald from the Pokemon Academy. Emerald thinks he knows who I am. Maybe he was already planning to give me a Pokedex. As Emerald reaches for it, Oak just pulls it away as Emerald says, thanks, I'll take one. And Oak says, hold on. I never said I'd give you a Pokedex. Actually, you failed my test by neglecting to introduce yourself before I requested you to do so. Emerald thinks, huh? God, Oak has a wild way of doing things. In fact, the fact is, I asked Earl how things are going at the Pokemon Academy recently, and he told me all about you. He said there was a boy with a green jewel on his forehead who didn't try to fit in. I knew it was you the moment I saw you. I was told you're still only 8 years old. You're too young. I can't give you a Pokedex yet, which, yeah, makes sense. More importantly, there's something besides your age that concerns me. The small lie hidden in your words. Your message said, wants a Pokedex to become a trainer and spend lots of time with Pokemon. You claim you want to spend time with your Pokemon, but Earl, the Pokemon Academy director, told me that you never even approach Pokemon, that you avoid them at all costs. Why the contradiction? Emerald is at a loss for words, and as Oak turns away, he says, if you can't explain yourself, I will never be able to give you a Pokedex, even when you're 10 or 11 years old. I believe everyone has a special talent and a path in life. That goes for their relationship with Pokemon as well. If you observe 10 people, all 10 will have a different relationship with Pokemon. Emerald is silent. Oak then takes Emerald's hand and places it on the Pokedex, reading his finger, saying, you must find your own path. I will consider giving you a Pokedex if and only if you discover your path. Until then, I will register you as a temporary trainer. Emerald says to himself, my path, my special talent, my relationship with Pokemon. Emerald's narration says there was only one person I could ask for advice. He asked Trickmaster, what do you think? Trickmaster says, let's see. He said it in a roundabout way, but I think what Professor Oak was basically saying is, what do Pokemon mean to you? Well, that's what he wants you to figure out. Emerald says, oh, sorry, Mr. Cobbler, I shouldn't have asked you to come all the way down to Johto just to discuss this. Trickmaster says, I'm not a cobbler. And I didn't travel all the way down here from another region just to give you advice. Oh, his mechanical legs bring over a case as Emerald questions, you didn't? Trickmaster opens the case saying, I came to deliver these to you because I finally completed them. Emerald sees all of his gear and goes, oh, you made these for me? They're just like my drawings. For real? Trickmaster says, uh-huh. Emerald then sees the dirt launcher saying, what's this? Trickmaster says, oh, that's my own original design. It wasn't in your picture. I bet you want to know what that gizmo is for, huh? When we met by the river in Mauville, you figured out there were the wild Pokemon you saw were from at just a glance, remember? Emerald says, yeah. Trickmaster tells him, that's when I realized it. Just now. You were talking about discovering your talent, right? Well, that talent is something unique to you. In fact, it is a one-of-a-kind skill. But I'll be blunt with you. If figuring out where Pokemon are from is all you can do, that talent will only come in handy on a quiz show. A talent only has value when you use it to help other people in Pokemon. Emerald says, when I use it to help other people in Pokemon. As he thinks of Crystal, Trickmaster says, right. So I got to thinking about how you could do that. For example, let's say a wild Pokemon gets out of control in front of you. How could you calm it down? Emerald thinks for a moment. Oh, the crying Larvitar. Trickmaster says, everyone has a special attachment to a place where they grew up, right? If so, you can figure out where that Pokemon is from, and you can use this to shoot mud pellets from its homeland at it. The pellets will surround the Pokemon with a nostalgic scent of their homeland. That's bound to calm them down, right? Emerald thinks helping a Pokemon in trouble. I can use my talent for that? He tells Trickmaster, this invention you made is amazing. Trickmaster says, no need to thank me. To be honest, I didn't make it from scratch. I traveled to a faraway land to study technology and mechanics. I got the idea from the shooter from a tool I saw there. The Pokemon Rangers. Yep, I even said it. I'm just like, man, that's kind of like what the Pokemon Rangers use. Sure enough, it's right there. He says, come on, try your new outfit and gadgets. Place these prostheses on your arms and legs and stick your hair up with wax. Oh, he uses wax to style his hair? Oh, God. Now, stand up tall. And yes, he's elevated by his new height and arms. Still wild to look at. Emerald explains, after that it was training and more training. I had to learn to use the arms and legs extensions the cobbler had made for me. My talent is to figure out where a Pokemon is from. I applied it by calming down angry Pokemon. I worked on my Pokemon battle skills. I trained hard alone so I could show Professor Oak what I could make of myself. In the end, Professor Oak learned about all my hard work and decided to officially give me a Pokedex. Unfortunately, we see Oak telling him, I'm sorry, Emerald. The Pokedex is with Professor Birch in Hoenn at the moment. I'll ask him to send it back. You'll have to wait a little longer for it, though. Emerald says, no, I'll go pick it up myself. Oh, God, he headed out there like this? Jeez. August 24th. Well, thankfully he asked for that specific modification so he could walk on water. As Emerald says, what's with the pouring rain? I won't make it in time for our meeting. Says that must be the spot. Hey! But a giant wave comes by, and while Emerald clings to a tree, Professor Birch is washed away. Emerald says, but Professor Birch was washed away and I still didn't have my Pokedex. And so I only managed to get a hold of my Pokedex the other day, May 31st. Then I learned about the battle frontier being completed. I'd already decided to test my battle skills there when... I was wondering about that because I thought to myself, does he have a 10 on the back of his shirt because he's the 10th Pokedex holder? Sure enough, Emerald says we found out that the day and location of Jiraiya's awakening was exactly the same as the press opening of the battle frontier. And we see Crystal sewing a 10 onto the back of his shirt saying, you're now one of the honorable Pokedex holders, the 10th Pokedex holder. And he sets off. Oh my God. Earl says, but maybe this is the best I can do. Let's face it, Jirachi won't let me look it into its third eye. Sapphire says, well, of course not. But first, thanks for being so open with us and telling us about yourself. But suddenly, all of their bracelets start to shine. I guess because their Pokemon were training while this all was going on. Ruby says, the bracelets. Does this light mean? Sapphire says, are the special moves being unlocked? Ruby says, our 3 Pokemon are reacting as well. We did it. But suddenly, there's a crash up above as Crystal and Gold have slammed into the roof of the invisible house. Emerald calls out for Gold and Crystal. Oh, jeez, what a place to end it. You know, it figures that this was what Archie was after the entire time. Just flood everything, have control of the world. He basically just wants Water World. But I like having Gold and Crystal back, honestly. I don't know, it's nice. Because, you know, you always get the previous holders kind of joining in on the fun and all that. But that didn't happen with Ruby and Sapphire. It was like, man, kind of was hoping that they get to meet all up and we get to see them interact and stuff. But seeing it happen here like this is actually really a lot of fun. And I love the inspiration that Crystal was. I love that even Gold was able to at least impart a little bit of courage on Emerald when he feels like he's at his lowest. And it's interesting to see his point of view and to find out that his want not to be attached to Pokemon doesn't come from a mean-spirited place like he looks down on Pokemon, but it's like, no, I just don't want to make it seem like I'm just using them as tools. It comes from a place of caring, which I actually really like that. Although, I guess for Jirachi, it's more that your wish has to come from someplace pure, something deep down, an unrelenting desire. And to know that that child at the end of the Gold, Silver, and Crystal arc was Emerald, that is really wild. I never would have guessed that. I just like how everything just connects together. Like, it makes it feel like one big plan. And it might not have ever even was meant to be something like that, but it really does make it feel that way almost. Like, and it pays off that I read all of that I didn't skip anything, that I went through the entire process and got to this point, and it just hits in a different manner, you know? Okay, I had to go back and check if he really even saw Emerald like that, and it's like, no, the kid is completely shadowed out. That's cool though. I like that. I really do. But they've been defeated. But I was still kind of curious how they'd stop this, but we've seen that a combination of very powerful moves, that's usually what manages to overcome some big adversity. We've seen that before time and time again. It's how everyone defeated the merged Articuno Moltres Zapdos creation. It's how Yellow was able to take down Land, and not so much at the end of the Gold, Silver, and Crystal arc. But I love the idea of everyone coming together. And again, this is kind of making up for Sapphire being left out of the fight when it came to taking down Kyogre and Groudon. Like, this is some impressive stuff. And I don't know, I like the thematic feeling of everything too. Can't wait for everyone to be freed. They gotta be freed before the final chapter. Yeah, everybody coming together to take down this monstrosity. That could be real interesting. And Todd gets to take a picture of all the Pokedex holders. Good stuff. I like this. I really did. I really did. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the ride. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din and hope to see you later. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.